What a day to be alive. Who's got some dreams in the building? Who's got some dreams in the building? You know, hold on. We got to go sport mode for this. We can't be in leisure mode. We can't be in leisure mode for this. All right. We can't be in leisure mode for this. I'm holding in my hand a contract that I signed on August 15th, 2018. And on one hand, this day probably makes that top 10 list of worst days of your life. But on the other hand, it's one of those days that you look back at and you kind of smile. You say, that day, that was the day that everything changed for me. And leading up to that day, my life wasn't exactly going as planned. And it was for a couple reasons. First off, I feel like I had done all the right things. Right? I went to school, I got the good grades, I was going to a university, I got the internships, I was going to graduate top of my class, and yet I had never felt more lost and confused on what I was supposed to do with my life. I had done all the things that they told me to do, and I was like, this doesn't seem like it's taking me in the right direction. The other thing that was happening is for the first time in my life, I was experiencing loneliness. And for me, it was pretty weird because I, at the time, was president of my fraternity. I was on a club basketball team. I had hundreds of friends, and yet I felt like everybody that I knew was going in this direction, and I was like, I don't really want to go that way anymore. I don't want to keep drinking beer 4 nights a week. I don't want to just talk about sports and basketball. And so I felt alone. And the cherry on top of all this is that for the first time in my life, I was experiencing some real anxiety. Now, I know people have opened up about mental health a lot in this past 2 days, but just who in the room has experienced just anxiety? Yeah, I think we all have at some point. And for me, it was in the chest. It was in the chest. It was in the stomach. It was these mini anxiety attacks. It was not wanting to do like the daily normal things of life. And so it was a lot. It was a lot happening at once. And to top that off, I was dating a chick that lived in Canada, and that's a story probably for tonight. But, you know, nothing against Canada or the girl for that matter, but international dating, there's some complications, right? So going into August 15th, it was the last day of my last ever corporate internship. And me and the CEO had a funny relationship because he knew I didn't want to work there. And I knew he wasn't going to give me a return offer, but we had to do the whole like last day meeting where we go in, we shake hands, we kind of say thank you for the summer, and then we both part ways. Well, going to that meeting, I was like, you know what? This guy's a founder. He's a CEO. He's made multi-million dollars. He got the big house on the lake, the Minnesota dream. If anybody who's from Minnesota knows that lake life is the dream in Minnesota. I'm like, let's ask this guy and just be vulnerable and say, hey, man, to be honest with you, like, I'm kind of struggling. Like, I don't know where I want to go in my life, and I'm experiencing some of these things in my mental health. Like, do you have any parting words of wisdom for me? So I walk in, and name's Dale. Walk into Dale's office, and I tell him, I say, hey, Dale, I don't really know what I want to do with my life. Like, do you have any advice for me? I was like, I got these ideas. You know, I have these dreams of starting businesses and of traveling the world, and I want to tell stories. I want to inspire people, and I just haven't felt like I found any purpose working in jobs in my life. I'll never forget the 4 words that Dale told me. He said, you can't do that. I said, hold on. I was like, what? He goes, dude, you're like 21 years old. What do you think you're just going to like run around and start businesses and your life's just going to be like this fairy tale, delusional fantasy land? Like, that's not how life works. Like, I worked in corporate America for 30 years before I started my business. I paid my dues. I walked the path towards success, and that's why I'm here today owning this multi-million-dollar company. He's like, you got to get out of this fairy tale land, man. I walked out of that office, and first I was like, what? Like, that is not the advice that I was hoping to get from this meeting. But to be honest with you, I believed him. Because at the time, I was already in a low place. And I was pretty insecure about, like, myself because I felt like I just didn't fit in and I wasn't, you know, successful in terms of how other people wanted me to be successful. And so I believed him. Like, maybe this guy's right. Like, maybe I got to just snap out of this dream fairy tale state and I've just got to keep going. I've already been doing all the things that they told me to do, but maybe I just got to keep drudging through it, and 30 years down the road, there'll be like a pot of gold somewhere for me. Maybe. Hopefully. It didn't seem right, but I go home, and I lay in bed, and it's one of those nights where, when you lay down, and you're just laying there for hours, and you're trying every position you possibly can. You start on the back, and then you go to the side, and you do the pillow between the legs, and then you go to the stomach, and you're tossing and turning, and nothing is working. Nothing's working. And I remember taking a deep breath, just laying in bed. And I remember getting a message, and I don't know if it was just my own intuitive reasoning or God or the universe, but something sent me a message, and it said, Timmy, grab a piece of paper. And I was like, come on, man, I'm sleeping, I'm tired. They're like, we know you're not falling asleep anytime soon. Grab a piece of paper. So I grabbed a piece of paper, and it said, I want you to write something. I want you to write lifetime contract with my dreams. I want you to write your name. And then underneath it, I want you to write this. I don't know what my dream life looks like or even what my purpose is on this earth. But today is the day I'm committing to figuring it out. I will no longer live the life others are telling me to live and take the path that society and Dale wants me to take. This man. I didn't say it. Today is the day I'm signing a lifetime contract with my dreams. And if I think about the things that have happened in the 5 years since that moment, from meeting one of my heroes to becoming business partners with him, to doing 2 6-month tours around the country, to raising over $5 million for charity, making over 1,000 dreams come true for kids with cancer, people who are homeless, people who need a miracle, meeting celebrities like Oprah and Steve Harvey and Whoopi Goldberg and Jake Paul and everybody that you see all over Instagram on the internet. And more importantly, figuring out my purpose, figuring out who I am and what my definition of success is in this world. And the story is really about the fact that we all have two paths that we can take in life. One is the one that they want us to take, that society wants us to take, that our parents want us to take, that our friends are taking. And the other one is the one that's designed for us, for our unique skill sets, for our purpose, and for the things that we're meant to do on this earth. And the first step of this journey is committing to this path. And so this speech is called Dreamology 101. Oh yeah, we got the little subtitle still up. Dreamology 101. The study of how to make your dream life a reality. And so let's go to the morning after I sign the contract. Sign the contract, I get up the next morning, I'm fired up, right? Lifetime dreamer, baby, let's go. Making my smoothie. I'm an acai bowl guy now, but at the time, I didn't know what that was. So I was making my smoothie, blending it up, throwing in the protein, and then I stop and I'm like, what the fuck do I do now? The only things I'd ever been in my life were an athlete and a student. And athletics didn't seem like a good option at this point because being a basketball player was my first dream. And I'm pretty delusional, and so I really believed I could be an NBA player until I realized that there is 0, 5'10", and white guys in the NBA. I figured, well, maybe that's not why I was put on this earth. So athletics didn't seem like a good option. Being a student wasn't taking me like where I wanted to go. And so I'm like, okay, athletics, no. Student, no. Dreamer. Yes, I'm excited about being a dreamer, but I don't know what that means. I'm still confused. I still don't know what my next step is. And so I was sitting there and I was like, has there ever been another time in my life where I didn't really know where I was going, but I still showed up and I still enjoyed life? I didn't know, but I was still growing. Has there been a time in my life where that happened? And I was like, well, yeah, actually, freshman year of college was that time for me. Because when you show up as a freshman at school, you're not expected to know shit, right? You don't know shit, but that's fine. You show up, you're in a new environment, you're meeting new people, you're learning new things, and naturally, by the end of the year, you've grown, right? And I'm like, that's interesting, the freshman mindset. I'm like, well, I'm kind of like a freshman right now in a way. Like, it's my first year in the real world, as they call it. Like, I'm kind of like a freshman of life right now. I'm sitting there like, okay, well, what if I just pretend that I'm back in school, even though I'm not? What if I pretend like I'm back in school, and instead of paying $40,000 to learn something you don't want to learn, what if I just design my own curriculum? What if I just pick the things that I want to learn about, which is, how do I live my dream life? What if I study the dream? It's like, the idea of Dreamology hit me in that moment. And if it works, okay, we got half of the document, but I made a Word document, and I titled it Dreamology, the study of how to make my dream life a reality. And just so you can see I'm not making this up, maybe not. Maybe not. Okay. Well, the slide is going to show that actually a couple weeks ago, that document crossed 300 pages, where I've basically written down every single thing I've learned in the past 5 years, every person I've met, everything I've experienced, and I've used life as my school. And so I started with like, all right, well, what do I want to learn about first? Okay, well, I got to learn how to find a new tribe, because my tribe's playing fantasy football and drinking beer, and that's just not the direction that I want to go right now. I got to learn about this mental health and happiness thing. Like, how do I figure out this anxiety? I want to learn about how to find purpose-driven work that I truly, there we go. Clearing the pages, we got it, maybe. We're locked in, we'll figure it out. And so I made this list, right? And so I started telling people like, okay, guys, I signed this lifetime contract with my dreams. Like, I'm not going corporate. I'm going to go chase my dreams. And in Minnesota, I sounded crazy, right? I mean, in LA, I probably would have sounded a little bit more normal. But in Minnesota, nobody really understood what that meant. And so it was going over most people's shoulders. You know, they didn't really pay it much mind. Okay, Timmy's going off the deep end a bit. He'll circle back to us. You know, he'll come back one day. Most Minnesotans do. And there was one person who he was interested in what I had to say. It was my brother. At the time, he was working corporate America, and he wanted to be a full-time filmmaker. And so he was listening to what I was saying, and he said, hey, man, what if on Monday night, me, you, some of my housemates, and some of your friends meet up at a coffee shop, and we just talk about the last year of our lives, what happened, what we liked and what we didn't, and also what we want to, where we want to be in the next year. And I was like, dude, that sounds awesome. And so we went there, and we ended up staying there for 6 hours. And we just talked about our dreams, goals, things we were thinking about. And we ended up meeting every single Monday night for 6 months straight. And we called it the Daydreamers Meetups. And it was the first time in my life where I had a space where people said, you can dream. The first time people said, yes, you can, not, no, you can't. And it was changing my life. And the more we started to meet, the more I started to see other people who were of that caliber, who had the same mindset as us. And now that I've met thousands of people who are dreamers, I realized that the more I stepped into my authentic self, the more I shared my dreams and goals with the world, and the more I created or stepped into spaces that were aligned with that, the bigger my tribe grew. And now I call them my dreammates. Got to find your dreammates, right? So the crew and the tribe starts to grow. But I still got this anxiety thing. It's going down a little bit, but I don't really know what to do with it. Again, Minnesota is a pretty standard culture, and back then, nobody was really talking about emotions too much. And especially for me, like, I've always been this happy guy. I've been the happy guy, brought energy, good optimism, fun. Timmy, I love being around you, man. You're always so happy, happy, happy. And I'm like, but I don't feel good on the inside, Alan. I don't feel good on the inside. I didn't know what to do about it. I didn't know who to talk to, who to turn to. And so I said, maybe I need a professor for this one. Maybe I need somebody to teach me about this. And I stumbled upon a mindfulness coach, a word that's been thrown around, mindfulness, in these conversations. And to me, in short, a mindfulness coach is somebody who is like, kind of like a therapist, but they use the tools of mindfulness to help you with your mental and emotional well-being. And so I go into the first meeting and I'm like, Jess, I want to get rid of this anxiety. I want to get rid of it. Like, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. And I told her the whole story of everything and what I was experiencing. And, people are listening and they're kind of like, yeah, I got it. Like, they already kind of know where you're getting at. And they're like, dude, I already see your problem. He's like, you're fighting this thing. Like, anxiety is not your enemy. It's your friend. We're like, okay. Because think about what a blessing it is that you have anxiety. I'm like, blessing? I'm like, it feels like I've been in the ring with Muhammad Ali and he's just been like taking free punches at my stomach. Like, what do we mean blessing? She goes, Liz mentioned this at the end of her speech. She goes, what a gift it is that you have something that tells you when you're out of alignment in your life. She goes, think about it. When you were playing basketball, did you have anxiety as a kid? I was like, no. She goes, okay, when you stopped playing basketball, you started going down the path that others wanted you to take, did your anxiety go up or down? I said, oh, well, it went up. She goes, okay, when you signed the lifetime contract with your dream, did your anxiety go up or down? I said, oh, it went down. She goes, when you find the Daydreamers crew, did your anxiety go up or down? I said, oh, it started to go down. She goes, see, the more you are aligned with the person that you're supposed to be, your anxiety will go down. But the more you stray away from it, it'll go up. And what a gift that is. Like, imagine if you didn't have it. You could have walked the wrong path for 30 years, ended up with a life that you completely didn't want. This thing has been pushing you in the right direction to say, hey, dude, go this way. Hey, dude, be this person. And so she was like, what else in your life is out of alignment if you still are having anxiety? And I'm like, well, I want to find purpose-driven work. Like, to me, I feel like dreams are synonymous with purpose. Like, we're all here for a reason. I want to find a purpose that I can latch onto. And she's like, so what's exciting to you? Like, who do you want to serve? And how do you want to serve them? And I'm like, well, I don't know the exact answer, but I do know this. This Daydreamer circle that we've created has changed my life. Having a space to dream at the time, too, with other men was transformative for me, for my friends. And I was like, there must be millions of other people who also feel like the main path hasn't worked for them, and they want to also have a space to dream together. She goes, great, start there. Go write down every single idea that you have. And so I open up the Word document and 14 pages of, I'm going to start a company all about dreams. We're going to do events. We're going to do retreats. We're going to tell stories of people who have done it, people who have made it, people who can teach us the lessons. And I wanted to build a whole world about dreams. I saw it so clearly, and I'm like, okay, I can finally start to see what direction my life might head in. And then one day, I'm scrolling social media, and I come across this photo. People have mentioned this man's name is Charlie Rocket. I didn't know who he was at the time, but I saw a big bus called the Dream Machine. I saw people write their dreams on it. I saw that he was touring the country and literally making people's dreams come true, like not just talking about it, but physically being like, what's your dream? And then actually like helping make it happen for that person. I saw that he was partnered with a company called Dreamer, Dreamr, which was a social media app for connecting people on their dreams. I was like, who is this guy? I look into him and holy crap, multi-millionaire, former music mogul, manager of 2 Chainz, Travis Porter, Soulja Boy, like the hip-hop music I listened to at my high school prom. I'm like, I gotta meet this guy, right? I'm thinking like, this dude is like doing exactly what I just wrote about, but he's already like 5-10 years ahead of me in the journey. And so I have this life philosophy where I say, why wait to be great? So I'm like, I'm gonna message him. Let's just do it right now. Open up Instagram. And at the time, he had about 117,000 followers. But he had the blue check mark. And you couldn't pay for the blue check mark then. So that was kind of like a wall, a security wall. I was like, okay, he probably gets thousands of messages a day. I can't just message him and be like, hey, man, like, let's talk. He's not gonna respond, right? And so I see he's going to Milwaukee on this tour, which is about 6 hours from where I lived. And so I'm like, I got an idea. I'm like, hey, Charlie, my brother and I live just down the road from Milwaukee. 6 hours, just down the road. It felt more reasonable. I was like, my brother's a filmmaker, and I'm a marketing guy, and I also got 2 hands, and I can help with whatever you need with all your events, everything you're doing in Milwaukee. Like, I got you. I can be your guy. Completely volunteer, completely free. I just love your mission and what you're doing, and I want to help support it and see it grow. So I send the message, and I swear to you, 15 seconds later, the 3 dots are typing. And I'm just like, holy crap, holy crap, holy crap, holy crap. I think I just started sprinting around my room. I was just doing this. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I'm waiting right for this huge paragraph. It just says, sounds good. I'm like, okay. brief, but that's a win. So I call my brother. I'm like, Ty, dude, you free to go to Milwaukee? He's like, why? I'm like, and then I give him the whole story, right? And at the time, he had quit his job because of our circle. He got the courage to quit his job. And so he's a full-time filmmaker. He's like, absolutely, dude, I'm in. This sounds sweet. And we show up to Milwaukee, and we hit it off with Charlie. Because we showed up. We made videos for him. We held all his events. We showed up early. We stayed late. Like, we basically did everything that he wasn't able to do for those 3 days. And we did more. We showed up with ideas. Like, one night we literally didn't sleep. We stayed up all night. We edited this video for him and gave it to him at 8 a.m. And he's like, thanks. He's like, I don't even really know these guys. He probably was just like said, sounds good, just so we'd come to his event, maybe more people. But he's all of a sudden seeing like, these guys are really providing me a lot of value. And so I get his number. I drive back to Minnesota, and I'm thinking like, sweet, I got a mentor. Like, that's in my head. I'm like, that's the best case scenario. I got a mentor. Now I got someone I can ask questions to, but he's going to go on his tour. I'm going back to Minnesota with my brother, and we'll keep doing our thing there. Well, 3 days later, he calls me, and he says, Timmy? I'm like, what's up? What you got for me this time? It sounds good, or maybe got a little something else? He says, no one's ever done that. Like, no one's ever just showed up and just helped and not asked me for anything. People ask me for things all the time. Hey, Charlie, can I pick your brain? Hey, Charlie, can you help me with this? Hey, He goes, no one shows up and actually cares about my mission and what I'm doing. And you guys didn't ask for a single thing in return. He's like, you guys want to come on this tour with me the next 3 months? Thinking to myself, like, okay, I got to be honest. My first thought wasn't so positive. It goes, Dale? Listen, man, you said I couldn't travel the country. You said I couldn't inspire people. I couldn't help start businesses. And now I'm doing it with this multi-millionaire in an RV of all things. But I was like, absolutely, man, let's do it. So my brother and I drive to Chicago. We get in the bus. And from the outside, it looks really cool, right? Like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air type vibe. The inside, we called it Grandma's living room. Because this thing was an old RV. It wasn't new and fresh on the inside. But the next day, we're literally driving east. We're headed towards New York. And picture in your head like somebody you follow on Instagram, right? Like one of your biggest idols, right? Like some celebrity or some superstar or some inspiration that you look up to. Now imagine living in an RV with that person. Like, it was one of the weirdest. We step in there and I'm like, what is happening in my life right now? Like, we're looking around, I'm like, this is insane. But I couldn't stay in fairy tale land too long, right? We had to like provide some value. We had to do some stuff. And so my brother and I had an idea. We're like, Charlie, you have no good video that explains like really what you're doing, what your vision is for Dream Machine. And so let's put it together. I was like, and I kind of already could see the vision because the vision that I had made for my business plan was so aligned with what he was doing. I was like, dude, I got this. And so we take initiative, we make this video, we share it, starts going viral, people start to reshare it. People are like, oh my gosh, this is really cool. This is also like 2020, late 2020. So the world and social media is full of a lot of hate. And this was something that was really full of a lot of love. We were like, how can we use social media and stuff to spread stories of love and dreams instead of stories of hate, separation? And one day, the holidays were approaching, and we got a DM from an employee at Nerf. And now Nerf is a part of a bigger toy company called Hasbro. They own Baby Alive, Play-Doh, all the big toy companies, right? And they said, hey guys, we had an entire holiday campaign planned, and we don't like it. And this is like a week before Thanksgiving. Like, we don't like it. We're like, okay. They're like, we want to make our entire holiday campaign about giving and kindness and just making the world a better place. We want to give you guys the entire budget. We're like, how much are we talking here? They said, $450,000. We're like, so is this money for us to give away to people? They said, no, there's two separate budgets. One, marketing and production for you guys. Two is the philanthropy budget. And let's just go whatever we want to do. We got endless funds. We have endless philanthropy funds. Whatever you guys want to do, let's go. And so for 30 days straight, we just went on a giving spree, as we like to call it. I mean, we were saving people from eviction. We were getting, stories vetted from other nonprofits like, hey, this mom and her daughter, they got split up due to like COVID and financial things. and we would go buy them a 2-bedroom apartment and put them in there and reunite them. We would buy people cars who had lost their cars and were biking to work. We turned a store in a mall into a toy store for kids, where 1,000 kids from the Boys and Girls Club came and they paid with Monopoly money for their Christmas gifts. I mean, it was like one thing after another, and the more we started to do, the more the social media aspect started to take off. Like I said, we had this idea, how can we use social media for social impact by making dreams come true? And we called our followers the Army of Love. We said, how can we just rally the people to just give more love to people, to do more amazing things for people? And so as the views started to grow, the interest from companies, from big donors, my people saying, hey, I want to help. Like, I want to help what you guys are doing. It just started to grow. And so we end the tour in Los Angeles. And when we got to LA, 2 really big things happened that took our movement to the next level. The first thing was Dreamer. So at the time, it was a big thing in LA to have a content house. And basically what would happen is these big tech companies would sponsor homes for big influencers to live in, because they would post videos, and at the time TikTok was just booming. So it would get millions of views, and the company would get that marketing exposure for actually a very cheap cost compared to what the cost of rent was. And so Dreamer was like, there's no content home that isn't just about like dancing and like shaking ass. Like, we want to make a content house about dreams. Like, LA is the city of dreams. People literally go there to chase their deepest desires. What if we built a home in LA that was a hub for dreamers? And so the CEO of Dreamer, Chris, he found a home for us. And all of a sudden, we're in Hollywood Hills in this huge mansion. We've got all these people coming to collaborate with us and to make dreams come true with us. And for me, personally, I'm like, this is crazy. I just went from living in my parents' house to grandma's living room on an RV to now like a $10 million mansion in Hollywood Hills. I mean, it was like kind of, again, mind-blowing. This whole part of my life, I'm just like, what is going on? But I was just so aligned with the purpose and the mission. I'm like, let's just keep going. And the other thing that happened in this period was we showed up to LA and we're like, okay, LA, like, there's so much going on. We can't just do something small when we show up. Like, we can't just like throw a pebble in the pond and hope that something amazing happens. We got to like find a boulder and we got to like throw it in. We got to cannonball into this city. What can we do? What is the thing that nobody else is doing? How can we make the biggest dream yet happen? And we found this homeless artist named Richard. I'm going to flip to Richard. Now, Richard said that his dream was to have his art in a museum one day. And we said, okay, we can do that. We should probably also get you off the streets. We should also probably get you new clothes. We should probably help you turn your life around. And so we were sitting back and we had an idea. We said, what if, instead of him just selling his art on the street, what if we made prints of his art? And what if we built him a website and we sold it online to our followers? So now instead of the couple people that walk by a day, we have millions of people that could potentially buy the art from this guy. And so we make this video, we make a website, we post it online, and no joke, in 1 week, he sold $250,000 worth of art. In this video, I think in the course of that month, had over 2 billion views across social media platforms. Like, this is the first time in my life where my Minnesota friends finally came around and they're like, dude, what you're doing is pretty cool. I'm like, okay, now you say that after 4 years of going through the trenches, now you're going to, but it was amazing, right? I was like, this is insane. And people who are buying the art, it wasn't also just regular people. It was Oprah. It was Steve Harvey. It was 2 Chainz. We're on the phone one day with T.I., with Jim Carrey's team. I mean, these celebrities who are into art are seeing this story. And they're calling us. They're like, we want to support. We want to support. We want to support. And then we got a call from an art studio in Beverly Hills. And they said, we want to throw an art show. We throw an art show. 1,000 people show up. And one person even bought an original painting for $23,000. And so Richard's life is changed forever. We got him an apartment. We signed a 2-year lease for him there. So we put down the whole payment up front so he didn't have to worry about figuring that out. And then we slowly got him back on his feet. And in terms of us, like, our movement was on fire. Like, we were on the Kelly Clarkson show, the Steve Harvey show. We were having national news stations call us. We were having T-Mobile wanted to give us $750,000 to do another tour around the country called the Dreams Are Calling Tour. It was a catchy, clever name. And, I mean, everything was going in the right direction. And for me personally, I was like, dude, just a year ago, I joined this team as an unpaid intern, by the way. When I joined, I wasn't getting paid. And in a year, I basically hired a team of 10 people, was managing them, was helping throw our events, was managing our content team, all of Charlie's brand deals, all the speaking engagements, everything that was happening in our movement. All of a sudden, I basically just naturally, by what happened, got promoted to the CEO of the company and Charlie's manager. And I'm like, just in 1 year, all this happened. In 3 years prior to that, I'd signed that contract when I was like, dude, I have no idea what to do. I'm lost, I'm confused, I'm anxious, I'm lonely. I'm like, how am I here, man? It was such a deep feeling of gratitude. And for the first time in my life, I finally knew what it meant to be a dreamer. That's when I invented the name Timmy the Dreamer. I learned it from Charlie because he says, create a character. And I was like, Timmy the Dreamer, man. Like, this is who I am. Like, I realized all those years it wasn't about the fact that other people couldn't see it. It's that I didn't see it in myself. And I finally, this is who I am, man. I'm a dreamer. I travel. I make dreams come true. I go after the things that I want. I serve with love and purpose. Like, this is who I am. I'm a dreamer. And this all led into our second tour across the country. When I say this era was like everything we touched turned to gold. Like, every single dream that we made come true on that 5-month tour literally blew my mind. And I want to tell two of the stories because they're so freaking good. Let's see. Okay, this was Lila, cutest girl on earth. This was in St. Louis. Lila was a 12-year-old girl with CRPS, which is called chronic regional pain syndrome. And it's sometimes coined as the suicide disease because it's so painful for kids that oftentimes they want to take their lives. And so Lila needed to raise money for this very unique treatment that wasn't covered by medical insurance. But she also wanted to be a baker. So we're like, let's do the same thing, man. We partnered with the manufacturer that makes Starbucks cookies. We had them switch the branding and the logo to Lila's Dream Bakery. And we sold $500,000 worth of cookies online. I mean, the whole world is talking about Lila. In the middle of nowhere, Missouri, 5,000 people showed up to buy a cookie from this girl in person. People waiting in line for like 6 hours. I mean, it was just like, again, people's lives changing on a huge level. Now, this one was one of my personal favorites. Yeah, this one's one of my personal favorites. So the young man on the left side, taking down that guy, is named Triple V, a.k.a. Vincent. And Vincent was a young man with Down syndrome who wanted to be a wrestler. And he wanted to help make money to help his family. His sister had been tragically date raped and paralyzed. And his mom was in a really tough spot, and he was like, I want to help support my family. And so we're like, we got to make this guy a professional wrestler. And so it was going to be too crazy the process to try to like get him into some professional wrestling match. Let's just create our own. And so we created an event called Dreammania, and we recruited professional wrestlers to come be in this thing. We had a comedian hosting. We had Flo Rida perform a 5-song set in the middle of this whole thing, a sold-out arena. I mean, it was like, again, I'm sitting here like, this is the craziest night of my life. I can't imagine what's going through Vince's mind. Look at that face. Do you see how locked in he is? My guy is locked in, dude. He is like crowned the winner of the first ever Dreammania. I mean, it was, again, just these moments, man. We finished that tour, I think. Across that tour, we had raised $3 million. Our Army of Love was now over 8 million people. The Dreamer app was top 25 on the charts. It was just like, this is, and I was doing it with my brother. Like, I was doing it with my actual blood brother. And that was the coolest freaking thing ever. So we're going to 2022, and we're like, we're unstoppable. We can do anything that we want to do. What do we want to do next? And our big vision was, someone from Justin Bieber's team had called us and was like, hey, do you guys want to come on the tour and make dreams come true as we go to these different cities for our music show? I'm like, what gets bigger than this? Like, I'm like, this is actually insane. Like, again, I'm still in that phase where I'm like, I just don't believe what is happening. And then I got a call one morning. And I probably relive this phone call like every single day. It was Charlie. And he said, yo, man. He said, you hear about Chris? I'm like, no. Like sitting at Starbucks, drinking my iced coffee and having a good morning. Like, no, what about Chris? He's like, he's dead, man. 6-year-old kid with autism, wife, 33 years old, died from an asthma attack. Has anybody here ever lost a close friend or a family member? And that's one of the worst feelings on earth. And on top of that, it was way more complicated for us because Chris was the CEO and founder of Dreamer. So when Chris died, his wife became the majority owner of the company. She was traumatized by everything, and they decided to shut the business down. And in terms of a business perspective, it didn't actually affect us all that much at that point because we had grown so much to where we could, at first we were relying on Dreamer sponsorship and funding, but by the end we had so many other companies it didn't really matter. But from a personal perspective, a part of my purpose of that organization died that day. Because even though a lot of the public work was with Dream Machine, behind the scenes, me and Chris met every single week. Because what Chris was building with Dreamer was my original vision. He was trying to think, how can we create a community for everybody to be a part of? How can we provide the next generation of dreamers resources and education? He was building Dreamer Labs at college campuses across America. He was thinking about the collective, right? What we were doing was really cool, but we were only actually able to help like 1 to 2 people a month because of the scale of what we were doing. It was so big that we weren't able to help that many people. And our entire audience was rallied around helping the 1 or 2 people a month, but the 8 million people weren't actually getting served. And so when Dreamer left, over the course of time, I started to feel myself slowly feeling less and less motivated to show up for work. And on top of that, it's kind of like those, when it rains, it pours type situation. My brother comes to me and he goes, hey man, I'm going to leave the team. And I'm like, no. I'm like, why? He goes, this is crazy. He met a girl in Miami on tour. And he's like, I gotta go be with this girl. They're getting married in May. So it actually worked out. Shout out Ty. Yeah, shout out Ty. So Ty's gone. And then I started to, you're kind of starting to slip down that mental rabbit hole. I'm like, damn, I have worked 7 days a week, 12-hour days for like 2.5 years now. Like I haven't called my mom in a month. I haven't talked to the daydreamer. I don't even know like what's been happening. I haven't like been in touch with any of my people back home. And the trifecta of kind of like purpose slipping, brother leaving was, and this is kind of why that stress thing triggered me earlier. Because we were working so much, we were just so burnt out. Like we were tired. Like Charlie didn't want to take breaks, even though he needed them more than any of us. But we were going and we were going and we were going, and I didn't have the energy to go to the gym. Like I didn't have the energy to do anything. So my health, as a guy who's always been an athlete, was basically like worse than it had ever been in my life. So I was forced to have a conversation, right? Because I'm in my head trying to deny the reality, right? Because the anxiety is starting to creep back in. Like, hey man, something feels off here. But I didn't want to go there because when I first signed this contract, it was actually kind of an easy decision because I didn't have that much to lose. I didn't want to go corporate anyways, so the idea of chasing my dreams and following my purpose and desires felt easy. But now that I created this whole world and it was known by people around the world and we were collaborating with celebrities and changing lives and getting so much recognition for it, the idea of stepping away from that, I can't do that. I've already put too much into this. But the months pass, the anxiety gets worse, the anxiety gets worse, the anxiety gets worse, and I'm like, I got to talk to Charlie. And at this point, right, like, I was kind of his right-hand man. It had been 3 years. We had done everything together. He would leave for a month or two at a time, and I would run everything. So I kind of figured, you know what? If I come to the table and say, hey, man, we got to make these changes because myself and all these employees like aren't that happy anymore. And it was a really weird contrast because we were still doing really cool things. We were still like, I remember we made a dream come true with Machine Gun Kelly, and we're just hanging out in the change room with him. We're going to the Golden State Warriors NBA Finals game. We're hanging out with Steph Curry. Like, we're still doing cool things, yet all of us feel like zombies. It's not there anymore. The spark isn't there. So I go to him and I say, hey, dude, these are the things that I've been feeling, that the employees have been feeling, and I feel like we got to change things. I feel like we have to mix some things up. And along with that, when Chris died and Dreamer died, we stopped so many amazing projects. Like, what if we focus on bringing this back in? I think actually in terms of like, because Dreamer was our for-profit business model, right? Like, if we actually have a little bit more for-profit money coming in, we could slow down a bit, because most of our revenue was coming from pumping out more videos, getting more brand deals. Like, it was a volume game. And so there was no like time we could slow down. And I was hoping the conversation would go well, and just like the one with Dale, it did not. Charlie kind of said, hey man, this is the way I am. Like, I'm going to go. And if anybody wants to work with me, like, this is the speed we're going to go at. And he also said, in terms of the projects and Dreamer and the community education, he goes, it's not my priority. And, you know, I fought back, obviously, because I'm like, dude, like, I've built this with you. Like, don't have any say in how we go forward with this. And the sad reality was no. And so I had to make a choice last year, April 2023, to step away. And publicly, I called this my unemployment era, which was really funny in LA, because in LA, everybody like introduces themselves based off of what they do. It's like, oh, I've done, and you're like, cool, man. And I was still going to these events and stuff, but I would just be like super happy and be like, so what do you do, man? I'm like, oh, I'm unemployed. Great to meet you. And I was just giving people like hugs, like, so what's up, man? Like, what do you do for fun? Like, I was owning it, because I knew behind the scenes, it was really about realignment. It was really about taking time to be like, okay, I've now lived in Minnesota. I've now toured the country. I've now lived in LA. I've now done all these different things. And I now can see my values so clearly. And I even took a quiz, and it said health, number 1, love, number 2, family, number 3, authenticity, number 4, contribution, number 5. And I said, all right, what if in this phase of my life, instead of just working all the time, I start to design my life around my values? And so last year, health became number 1. And me and my friends did a crazy thing, because I was like, I need to do something crazy to really make sure that I stay committed to this. So my friends and I signed up for a 100K race, 100K trail run. And we did it. And my whole year was about health. And then I was like, all right, I called my family, my friends, what's going on this year? Dude, I'm getting married in August. I'll be there. Family reunion in July. I'll be there. Holidays. I'll be there. I showed up for my people, because I was like, dude, what if your mom dies? Like, what if your mom dies how Chris died, and you haven't even freaking called her in like 3 months? Like, this is a reality. I'm like, dude, you've lost touch with all of your freaking people, and you're not showing up for them. All right, so let's start showing up for them. And then the trifecta of me getting realigned was launching my own vision. And this was a beautiful thing, because I took that original 14-page document and all that we did and learned, and I said, I'm going to just build it. I'm going to build the community for dreamers. And I called it Dreamer State University, because I was like, I want to build it based off of a spoof based off of education. I want my retreats to be called Spring Break and Winter Break and Summer Break. I want the education to be called Dreamology. I want people to go to the bookstore and buy journals and different inspirational merch. I want to design this thing based off what I didn't have when I was younger. And similar to the boys in Tampa, we started by just throwing events in LA. 2 events in LA, 200 people showed up to each one. People were excited. I did my first retreat last year, doing my second retreat in March, which if anybody wants to come to Minnesota and jump in some frozen lakes, we're having Dreamer Winter Camp. It's going to be legendary. But I'm finally doing the thing that I always wanted to do, man. And the crazy thing is, I'm like, okay, I'm only 27 years old, and I've gotten to experience all of this. And I still know what I feel like is like 1% of what there is to know about life. And I still struggle with a lot of stuff. But I realize, like, I think that that's kind of the way it always is. Like, on this journey, I met a billionaire who told me a story that he was driving to work one day in his Ferrari, pistol in his hand, ready to kill himself. I met the number 2 motivational speaker in the world who told me to my face that he hadn't had sex with his wife in 3 years and he was really sad about it. I met people at the top of the game in every different industry, and a lot of them were so imperfect you can't even believe it. But I realized, like, we have 2 choices with our imperfections. We can either have our imperfections make us think we're not enough, like we're not capable, like, oh, we can't go do that because we have this issue. Or, as my mentor Brandon Collinsworth says, we can choose to accept that we are imperfectly human and we can still go be great. And I didn't realize it, but me signing that contract 5 years ago, that was that decision. It was like, I don't know shit, but I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do what I know I'm supposed to do on this earth. And by making that decision, I got to do all these things. I got to tour across the country. I got to raise money for charity. I got to change lives. I got to know what it's like to build someone with millions of followers, to meet celebrities, to live in a mansion, to travel the world, to meet and become friends with one of my heroes, filling up my dream life resume with memories that'll last a lifetime, discovered what my dream life is, my purpose, my definition of success. I made friends with thousands of dreamers, and truthfully, I feel like I've already lived a lifetime. And along with that, I got to learn these lessons. Sign the contract, commit. I got to learn that to build our dream life, we must become students of our own life. I got to learn how important it is to find your dream mates. I got to learn that anxiety is my friend. I got to learn that when you lead with purpose, magic happens in your life. The more you give, the more you receive. I got to learn that mentors are a cheat code. I got to learn that if you show up as your authentic self, even when it's hard, it's always worth it. I got to learn that when you believe that all your dreams are possible, they are. I got to learn that chapters end. And knowing when to close a door is just as important as knowing when to open one. I got to learn how to live a life aligned with my values, how to not let anyone else define success for myself. I got to learn that our dreams will only grow as much as we do. And if we're not also developing ourselves, it doesn't matter how big our business gets, we're not going to feel fulfilled. I got to learn that our health and well-being is number 1, and I got to learn to never forget those that you love. So now, I want to turn it to you guys. And let's make this fun. Can we all stand, like in this region? Can we get in this area right here? We gotta bring it together a bit, I think, for this one. Yeah, let's bring it in. We can get close. Oh, can somebody help Mary? Like, can we get a chair? Can somebody help? We get a chair here, and we'll get Mary up front and center. Yeah. Mary, let's go, Mary. Let's go, Mary. Yeah.
Turn it on. Where I can get out again after it. I'm gonna put your phone. What?
All right, beautiful. I want us to dream for a second. So I want us to be close together because our hearts actually have 6 feet of electromagnetic energy. And so when we're close together, we can feel each other's energy. So as we're about to dream, I want you to feel all the powerful magic that starts to come into the air. So close your eyes real quick. And I want you to imagine for a second that there isn't 2 paths you can take in life. I want you to imagine that society's path, that one that you feel like you should take, that one that people have told you to do, that one that you've been taking for so long, like that path doesn't exist. That path's gone. Control, Alt, Delete. And there's only one path that you can follow. And it's the one that's designed for you. And as your eyes are closed, I want you to see, what are you doing for work? How are you serving people? How are you showing up in the world? What kind of relationships do you have? What kind of partner do you have? What does your health look like? What is your energy? How do you wake up in the morning? And if you have to, don't be still. Like, feel free to have a little bit of swagger. Like start to actually feel this. Go to the future, and I want you to see what that dream life looks like for you. Whatever you got to do to get there. If you got to dance, put your hand on your heart. If you got to do a little shimmy, I don't care what you got to do. But I want you to go to that future, and I want you to see what your heart, not what your mind, but what your heart is truly telling you that your dream life looks like. I want you to stay there for about 90 seconds, and then we'll bring it back. Hey. Oh. All right, I want you to stay in this state. Open your eyes, but don't say anything. I want you to turn to a partner, and I want you to just stare them in the eyes. It's okay. We're going to do a little bit of intense eye contact here. Keep it quiet. Don't try to like joke your way out of the moment. Stay in the moment. Stay in the moment. I want you to look this person in the eyes and see how beautiful they are. I want you to see their dreams. I want you to see what they're capable of, the purpose that is inside of them, the levels that are waiting to be unlocked, the future version of themselves that they just saw. And I want you to know that they're also seeing that in you right now. They're mirroring what you see. And there's a really sad thing, man. There's a really sad thing. There was a study done, the largest study ever done on the regrets of people who are about to die. And the number one regret above anything else when people are about to pass away is, I wish I had the courage to live the life that I wanted to live, not the ones that others wanted me to live. I wish I had the courage to live the life that I wanted to live, not the one that others wanted me to live. If I have one goal from this speech, is that I don't want anybody in this room to be a part of that statistic. I don't want anyone in this room to get to the end of their lives and to see the script, the thing that said, oh, this was supposed to be my life, but I never had the courage. I always felt like I wasn't enough. I never felt like I could get over that hurdle. But other people wanted me to do this, and I get to the end of my life, and I'm like, I never fulfilled my purpose on this earth. I never lived the life that I wanted to live. And so I want to give you guys an opportunity right now, today, to make that commitment and be like, I might not have all the answers. I might not know what it looks like, but I'm committing to my dream life and the path that takes me towards where I want to go. And so I actually brought contracts for all of you. I don't know if they're legally binding, but I got contracts. Sit down. Mikey, you want to pass them out? Yeah. All right, Mikey's got the contracts. All right, here's what I want you to do real quick. Stay with your partner. Stay with your partner. Don't sign it yet. Don't sign it yet. You'll see a spot to write your name, and then whatever you saw, I want you to write on this paper. And again, it doesn't have to be elaborate. Like, all I wrote the first time was like, I literally said, I don't know what this looks like, but I'm committing to it. Whatever you saw, don't feel shame in what you saw. Whether it was big or small, I want you to write it down. Don't sign it yet. Share it with your partner and share why you wrote it. And again, remember, the universe, we got to speak it, right? We got to speak our dreams to the universe. Charlie always said, you eat what you order. If you go to a restaurant and you want a cheeseburger, but you don't order the cheeseburger, they're not going to bring you a cheeseburger. It's as simple as that. Write your dreams, share it with your partner, and then we'll close it up together to finish this thing out.
Timmy, she said, I agree, but then you said what we saw in their eyes.
No, write what you saw. Yeah. No. Like for your own, in your own manifestation. Yeah. Yes.
Or sign another fucking contract. She said.
Yeah. Yep. It's right in the middle.
And then how if you put it this way.
Yeah.
Not how I'm catching actually what's up to that. If the good is doing it would be you stay. You think there.
Yeah.
Just one day. I mean,
Wow.
there's anything to see it, you know. But it's pretty. What? You know about it. But it. You wouldn't know about it.
Talk to me.
Now, I got a lot of different areas. We think about like 5 areas, and I got a dream for.
Okay, we're gonna.
Do you want one?
Tomorrow, we're gonna actually do a amend the contract session. So
I can
write a few things, and then we can always add more. Yeah.
Sure. I'm gonna trip. That's. Oh yeah. You have
26, January 26th. And want to share?
Sorry, but totally out there. Starting down that.
Irish haven't caught up yet.
It's like going moving. Yeah, it's already there.
Your heart, man.
They just have to me. Just give me lucky.
Thanks.
It was something that the tables. Want some.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for the talk. It was beautiful, sir. I, Kabir Wolf, I'm signing a lifetime contract with my dream life, not the one society wants me to live. I'm committing to make a massive impact in this world, to feeding 100 million people in my lifetime, to having the most loving wife and children ever, to mold those kids into the finest humans that have ever walked this earth. I'm committed to giving my parents the financial freedom to where we don't look at prices anymore. I'm committed to constantly elevating myself and those around me, to being a ray of light in darkness, to live a life of passion, to do more than I say, to always step up, and to live with more love than I've ever known. I'm committed to never settling for anything less than I absolutely know I am capable of. Kabir.
All right, stay up here for a second. All right. So, Kabir, if you'll do the honors. Now, listen, I can't make you sign this contract, right? It's a choice that you have to make. But if these things that you just wrote, if you're ready to have those in your life, man, go ahead and sign the contract, bro. Go ahead and sign that. Can we give him a hand? Can we give Kabir some round of applause? And you know, just how like when athletes sign to a school, man, you're officially a part of Dreamer State, baby. You're officially in. And just like everybody else, man, everybody in this room, nobody can force you to sign this contract, to commit. But if you're feeling in your heart today, you're saying, I'm ready to double down on my dreams, to live the life that I know I'm supposed to live, go ahead and grab the pen and sign the contract, man. January 26th, 2024. You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one.